Discover the amazing, life-changing moment when a stranger revealed hope to a woman crying alone. The clatter of plates and muffled laughter drifted through the diner, with a scent of freshly brewed coffee mixed with the sugary aroma of pies cooling on the counter. Nearby, the NBC News broadcast flickered on a small television, amplifying the mundane chatter into a cacophony that mocked Emma's solitude. She sat at the counter, trapped in emotional whirlwind, tears streaming down her cheeks as the weight of the world pressed heavily against her chest. At 33, she never imagined she'd be eating alone, staring blankly at the untouched slice of cherry pie that felt like a mirror reflecting her shattered dreams. Just a week ago, she had lost her job at the local factory, the last thread of stability in her life gone like smoke slipping through her fingers. What would this mean for her daughter, Lily? How could she provide? The diner around her, usually warm and inviting, felt colder with every sob that escaped her lips. Emma wiped her tears on the sleeve of her battered sweater, feeling the judgmental gazes of strangers as they stole sideways glances. But for her, the world was suddenly a blur, busy and bustling, and she was just an island of despair in an ocean of laughter and joy. Then there was Sam, an older man with a face of weathered leather and eyes reflecting stories of lost battles. He shuffled over with a hesitance that showed both kindness and curiosity. The diner continued its symphony around them, but to Emma, it felt like the world faded to silence. She could sense an unspoken connection in the way his gaze lingered. As he settled close, he spoke, his voice low but steady, like the rumble of distant thunder. "You know, I've been where you are." He shared tales of his own struggles, of sleepless nights in Vietnam, the bitterness of coming back to a town that saw him as a ghost. He told her about the importance of holding on to hope, of community support, and the simple strength found in sharing burdens. Something inside Emma stirred a flicker of courage igniting within her. Perhaps there was a way out of the darkness that surrounded her. But just as the warmth of his words settled in her heart, she felt the chill return as a group of locals, overhearing their conversation, began to murmur. Their hushed tones dripped with contempt, whispering questions about why a good man like Sam would waste his time on a lesser woman like her. Emma's stomach dropped, anger surging through her veins, the sanctity of their moment shattered. The weight of their judgment bore down on her like a heavy stone. Caught in the turmoil of conflicting emotions, Emma wrestled with self-doubt. Sam's words of encouragement clashed against the harsh realities echoing around the diner. Tension crackled in the air. Some locals were drawn to support Sam's kindness, while others pushed back against it, breeding a confrontation that hung heavy in the room like smoke from an extinguished flame. I could see that moment. Emma felt the electricity of change sparking around her like fireworks in the heavy air. She glanced at Sam, who offered a gentle nod, as if to say it was time to speak up. It was now or never. But as she opened her mouth to voice her struggle, a sharp retort from one of the antagonists sliced through the tension, stealing the air from her lungs and leaving everyone in the diner hanging on a thread, teetering between compassion and judgment. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Emma inhaled deeply, steeling herself for the moment, determined to turn her pain into a rallying cry, for herself and for the unseen many in their small town. Would her words be the spark this town needed to ignite compassion and understanding? Could she, a single mother without a job, break through the chains of judgment that bound her? As the whispers in the diner faded, Emma raised her chin, her heart pounding, ready to let her voice be heard. The air felt charged, alive with the possibilities of what might happen next. Emma felt the weight of every eye in the diner upon her. The laughter and chatter faded into a dull thrum, and all she could hear was the sound of her heart racing in her chest. Taking another deep breath, she summoned every ounce of courage she could muster. "Look," she began, her voice shaky at first but gaining strength. "I know I'm not in the best place right now. I've lost my job. I struggle every day to provide for my daughter, and yes, I'm scared. But what I've realized in these last few days is that being scared doesn't mean I'm weak." Silence fell over the diner like a thick blanket. Emma's eyes darted to Sam for reassurance, and he smiled gently, his posture urging her on. She turned back to face the crowd. "Just because I'm having a hard time doesn't make me any less deserving of kindness. We all fight battles that others can't see, and instead of casting judgment, maybe we should lend a hand instead." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some faces softened, while others clenched in disagreement. But Emma pressed on, compelled to share her heart. "I've spent too much time believing I was less than anyone else. I'm not looking for pity, but understanding. We all need each other. A little kindness can go a long way." Sam's nod was encouraging, driving her resolve deeper. The words poured out of her now, fueled by years of suppressed pain and frustration. "I love my daughter. Every moment I'm trying to keep her safe and happy is worth it. But I can't do it alone. Neither can any of us." The diner hummed with murmurs again, but this time it felt different, more thoughtful. A woman at the far end of the counter, who had previously listened with skeptical eyes, now leaned forward. "My husband lost his job last year," she said, voice strong yet soft. "We had to adapt too. If we didn't stick together, we wouldn't have made it." Emma felt a rush of gratitude. Hope began to shift within the space, a gentle current that threaded through the previously icy air. One by one, more patrons nodded, voices rising with common struggles and shared stories. A connection sparked, bridging gaps where judgment once reigned. As Emma spoke, she realized this was more than just her moment. It was theirs. The realization hit her fiercely. She had the power to ignite change within this small community, not just for herself, but for everyone who felt unseen. Just as the burden of isolation started to lift, another voice rang out, a man, stout and firm, with a skeptical frown that hadn't left his face. "But what can we really do, huh? We have our own problems." Every head swiveled toward him as tension snapped back. Emma felt the air thicken again, but she wouldn't let fear shut her down. "We start by being human to each other," she replied, her own fiery spirit catching like a wildfire. "We start with simple acts. A meal here, a job lead there. Small kindnesses add up." His eyes flickered for a moment, a chink of doubt possibly softening under her fierce gaze. Just then, the bell above the diner door jingled, announcing a newcomer, a familiar face. Lily, Emma's daughter, stood at the entrance holding a paper bag filled with decoratively wrapped cupcakes from the local bakery. A sprinkle of flour dusted her brown hair, matching her wide, innocent smile. "Mommy, I made these for you." The sight of her daughter pulled at Emma's heart, a reminder of all her fight. She felt alive, pumping with the energy of her words and the love for her girl. But the echo of the man's challenge hung in the air. Would this community rally together after all? Or would they choose to turn away in doubt? The next moment stretched like a tightrope before them all, teetering between despair and hope, questions lingering in the diner. What would they choose? Lily skipped across the floor, her cheerful presence breaking the tension that buzzed in the air. Emma knelt down to embrace her, the scent of vanilla and rich chocolate filling her senses. "You did such a great job, sweetheart," Emma murmured, her heart swelling with pride. The patrons of the diner watched this tender moment unfold. Lily's innocent joy began to melt some of the skepticism lingering in the room. Emma, still kneeling, took a cupcake from the bag, the frosting glistening like a promise. "Do you want to hand these out?" she asked with a smile, knowing the answer. "Yes," Lily squealed, her eyes sparkling brighter than the fresh icing. She hopped back toward the counter, cupcakes in hand, ready to share her homemade treats. "Hey, everyone," Lily called out, drawing smiles from faces that just minutes ago had shown doubt. "Want a cupcake?" I made them for my mom. Emma watched, heart racing, as Lily's unabashed spirit connected with the crowd. The man who had questioned her just moments ago, his brows furrowed, now looked a bit softer as Lily approached him. "Here, mister. Try it." Her voice rang with pure, childlike enthusiasm. The man hesitated, then, almost reluctantly, took one. As he bit into the cupcake, surprise softened his features. "It's really good," he conceded after a moment, and a chuckle escaped him. "See," Emma said, rising to her feet with newfound confidence. "Sometimes you just have to take a bite to realize things aren't as bad as they seem." Others began to reach for cupcakes as well, hesitant smiles cracking their serious expressions. Emma felt a spark igniting. The air shifted as a sense of camaraderie blossomed. Conversations bubbled back to life, with more laughter mixing into the chatter. Not far away, the woman from earlier nodded in agreement, her eyes glistening. "You're right. We do need each other. If a cupcake can spark a connection, imagine what we could do together." Encouraged by the response, Emma took a deep breath. "Exactly. We could start a community board where we share needs and resources. If someone has an extra bike, we can help fix it up for a kid who needs it. Or if you know someone looking for a job, we can pool our knowledge." More heads nodded, the energy swirling with excitement. Emma glanced at Sam, who beamed with pride as he witnessed the transformation unfolding. But just as the mood shifted in her favor, the door swung open again. A tall stranger walked in, soaking wet from the rain outside, that ominous feeling returning. He stood there, breathless and scanning the diner as if he were searching for something or someone. "Do you need help?" Emma called out instinctively, her heart tugging in both fear and concern. The man's eyes locked onto hers, shadowed by frustration and vulnerability. "I lost everything. My family is gone. I don't know where to turn." At that moment, the diner fell silent once again, the buzz of excitement replaced by a heavy blanket of tension. Emma's heart sank as she felt the weight of despair in the room, shifting like a storm brewing on the horizon. It was a reminder that even when hope begins to sprout, life has a way of throwing curveballs. This stranger's pain struck a chord within her. Could she help him the way everyone had helped her today? What if he needed what they had just been creating together? As she stepped forward, feeling the eyes of the diner on her, Emma knew she stood on the edge of another pivotal moment. Would she pull the community together again? Or would she feel the crush of her worries all over again? What was she prepared to do next? Would their kindness extend beyond cupcakes and words? Emma took a breath, steadying herself as she moved closer to the stranger. She could see the raw pain etched across his face. Her instinct urged her to reach out, to bridge the gap between his suffering and the warmth of the diner. This wasn't just about cupcakes anymore. It was about connecting with someone who felt lost in the dark. "I'm so sorry to hear that," she said softly, feeling the weight of his words. "You're not alone. We're all here, and we want to help." Each word hung in the air, heavy with the promise of community. The other patrons shifted in their seats, drawn into the intense moment. The laughter had faded, replaced by looks of concern and empathy. Lily, sensing the change, stepped up beside Emma, her small hand slipping in her mother's. "Hi, I'm Lily. We just made lots of cupcakes. They're really good, and you can have one." Surprise danced behind the stranger's hollow eyes, a flicker of warmth breaking through his despair. He knelt down to meet Lily's gaze, his voice trembling. "Thank you, sweet girl. I think I could really use a cupcake right about now." Emma smiled, feeling hope stir within her. "Why don't you sit with us? There is plenty to go around. And maybe we can talk if you want." The man hesitated for a heartbeat, uncertainty clouding his expression. But then Lily bounced with energy. "Yeah, cupcakes make everything better." A chuckle escaped him, and Emma felt her heart lighten. The stranger nodded slowly, then let out a deep breath, as if he had just allowed a little bit of the air to return to his lungs. "Okay, I'll join you." As he sat down at the counter, the diner's atmosphere began to shift again. Conversations that had been muted swirled a little louder as people reached out, sharing their names, Their stories, these were reminders that everyone had battles of their own. Emma noticed a woman from the back of the diner, standing up, her own timid smile bursting with determination. My brother lost everything last winter. If you need anything help, a place to stay, I'm here for you, she offered, her voice steady. It was as if a dam had broken, with others echoing her sentiments. Me too. I have a couch you can crash on, another patron added, fingers tapping eagerly on the Formica table. Emma's heart raced. This wasn't just about cupcakes anymore. They were launching into something greater. With each generous offer, the stranger appeared to relax, the tension in his shoulders easing. Tears glinted at the corners of his eyes as he looked around the diner, overwhelmed by the kindness pouring in. Thank you, all of you, he managed to say, his voice cracking. I thought I was completely alone. No one is ever really alone, Emma replied, her heart swelling. We're stronger together. The room filled with nods of agreement, a powerful affirmation echoing in those small walls. But just as relief washed over Emma, the door cracked open again. A quick gust of wind sent a chill through the diner, drawing Emma's gaze towards the entrance. Standing there was another figure, a little boy, soaked to the bone, clutching a stuffed bear close to his chest. Mom? The boy called, eyes wide with confusion and fear. Emma's breath caught. What would this new revelation mean for the man at the counter and the boy searching for his mother? Would they find their way back to hope together, or would this be yet another thread of despair? The boy's voice rang out, piercing through the tension like a sharp edge. Emma's heart raced as she took in the scene, the little boy, shivering and searching, the stranger at the counter visibly distressed. In one moment, the diner's atmosphere shifted once more, uncertainty weaving through the air like a chilling fog. Mom, where are you? The boy cried again, his small body trembling. Emma instinctively glanced at the stranger, fearful of what this might mean. The man's expression shifted yet again, shadows of his own past flickering in his eyes as he stood up, his frame towering but fragile. Wait here, he said, his voice low and measured, as if trying to calm the chaos within himself. He moved toward the boy, each step heavy with unanswered questions and unspoken fears. Emma's breath caught in her throat as the boy turned to face the man, his innocent blue eyes wide and filled with confusion. Who are you? He asked, clinging even tighter to his stuffed bear, a source of comfort in this moment of despair. I'm just someone who understands, the stranger replied, crouching down to meet the boy at eye level. Do you need help finding your mom? A crowd had gathered around the new drama. Emma watched in silence as the boy nodded, tears starting to well up in his eyes. Behind them, patrons leaned in, every heart pounding as hope and fear intertwined. My mom said she would be right back, the boy's voice cracked, choking on the words as he fought back a surge of panic. The stranger's face softened, his own grief momentarily pushed aside by an unexpected surge of empathy. What is your name, buddy? David. Nice to meet you, David. I'm Gary. Let us see if we can find your mom together. Emma stepped closer, wanting to help, but unsure of how to bridge the gap. The diner felt like a ship navigating through a raging storm, everyone holding on tight while the waves crashed around them. As Gary and David moved closer to the door, Emma felt drawn to follow. She laid a comforting hand on the boy's shoulder. We'll look for her together. You're not alone. Before David could respond, a new figure entered the diner. A woman, her cheeks streaked with tears, stumbled into the room, eyes wild with fear and relief. David, she cried, the sound breaking through the chaotic murmurs. She rushed forward, arms wide open. The moment was electric as the boy dashed toward her, desperate and hopeful. Mom, David shouted, his wet clothes clinging to him. But none of that mattered now. The embrace was fierce and overwhelming, a cocoon of love that ironically canceled out the coldness of the world outside. Gary stood back, watching with a bittersweet smile. Emma felt a lump in her throat. The moment captured everything that mattered, the connection between those lost and found in the warmth of family. The woman pulled back from the embrace to study her son's face, a look of fierce gratitude blooming when her eyes fell on Gary. Thank you "Thank you so much," she gasped, breathless. "I was terrified. I thought I lost him." "It's what all of us do, help each other," Gary replied, a newfound sense of strength visible in his posture. Emma could feel the depth of that moment washing over her, like a wave of comfort surrounding them all. It was a reminder of the power of community, the strength found in solidarity during the darkest times. But the tranquility of the reunion was abruptly shattered as the door swung open again. This time, it was not just a gust of wind, but a frantic crowd, their faces painted with desperation. "What is happening?" a voice shouted from the back. Emma exchanged a worried glance with Lily. Would this be more than they could handle? Who else was struggling in the shadows? As uncertainty filled the air once again, Emma felt her heart race. What hope remained as the storm gathered at their door? The air thickened with an anxious energy as more frantic faces pushed through the door. Emma looked around, the diner suddenly feeling too small, too crowded. Each person appeared on the verge of collapse, eyes fielding wild questions and desperation. "What's wrong?" a woman near the counter shouted, her voice rising above the murmurs. She was cradling a baby in her arms, whose plaintive cries only added to the clamor. A man in the back shouted, "My sister. She was supposed to meet me. She was driving here, and—" His voice broke, panic bubbling to the surface like molten hot lava. Emma's heart tightened. A mother losing her child. A sister desperate to find family. These emotions threaded through the diner like an unrelenting vine, binding everyone together but also suffocating them under the weight of their fears. David's mother, still clutching her son close, turned back to Gary. "Did you see anyone else come in? Someone who looks distraught?" Her frantic eyes darted around the room, scanning for the next soul in need of help. "No," Gary replied, but the shadow of doubt lingered on his face. "But we can't just stand here. We need to check outside." Emma felt a pull inside her, a responsibility igniting in the pit of her stomach. "I'll go with you," she exclaimed, catching the surprised look from Gary, this stranger who now felt like a part of her own story. "Stay close to me," he instructed, waves of urgency pulling him forward. As they moved toward the door, Emma grasped David's hand, drawn by the need to keep the boy anchored. She could see the innocence in his eyes fading bit by bit, fear creeping in as the commotion intensified. "You're safe, David," she whispered, wishing she could shield him from the chaos outside. The air outside the diner turned colder, almost cutting against her cheeks as they stepped out. Emma squinted against the harsh daylight, seeing people scrambling in various directions. Frightened faces turned toward them, hands wringing and voices cracking a chaotic symphony of distress. "Did you see her?" someone shouted, their voice carrying the rawness of a wound that wouldn't heal. That a woman on the sidewalk pointed in the direction of a nearby park. "I thought I saw someone running toward there. Something's wrong." Emma's heart raced as they made their way through the crowd, Gary leading with a steady determination she had only just noticed. It was as if he had shed the ghostly weight that hovered around him inside the diner, now becoming a soldier of empathy amidst the desperation. "We've got to stick together," Gary yelled, rallying those near them. "Let's search the park. We can help each other." As they approached the park entrance, Emma was struck by the sight of children laughing, echoes of joy piercing through the tension. But just as quickly her heart sank. Not all of those laughs sounded innocent. She could hear a wail in the distance. Suddenly, Emma caught sight of a figure near the swings. A girl stood there, her face streaked with tears, eyes scanning the ground like it held the answers to her turmoil. A sense of familiarity washed over Emma. "Is that you?" Emma whispered, recognizing the girl as the sister the man had spoken of. Without a moment's hesitation, she turned to Gary, who already had the same idea. "We have to reach her before she runs away again." With renewed urgency, they rushed toward the figure, Emma's heart pounding through her chest. Would they be able to bring her back to safety just as they had with David? The stakes were rising, and the storm was only beginning to brew. What would they face next? Would hope emerge from the shadows, or would despair consume another life? Emma and Gary squeezed through the throng of worried faces, each pushing forward with a shared urgency. The park, once a serene escape, felt transformed into a battlefield of emotions. As they moved closer, the outlines of the girl by the swings sharpened into focus. She seemed so small, so lost. "Hey," Emma called out, her voice cutting through the tension. The girl jolted, lifting her tear-streaked face. Emma could see the pain etched in her features. It was raw, unfiltered grief. "What is your name?" Emma asked gently, trying to bridge the gap of fear that separated them. The girl stared blankly for a moment, her breath hitched in her throat. "Lucy," she finally managed, voice barely a whisper. "Lucy, I understand this is hard." Emma stepped closer, her heart racing. "We're here to help you. Your brother is looking for you." P.S. worried, and we're all worried. At the mention of her brother, Lucy's eyes flickered with something, maybe hope, maybe fear, a mixed bag of emotions that made Emma's heart ache. "I can't find him," Lucy sobbed, shaking her head as fresh tears escaped her eyes. "I was supposed to meet him. I thought he'd come, let us find him together, okay?" Emma offered, stretching out her hand. "He is probably waiting for you. We can't leave him alone, just like you don't want to be alone right now." With hesitation, Lucy reached out, her small hand trembling in Emma's grasp. A wave of relief washed over Emma as she felt the weight of the girl's despair slowly lift, if only for a moment. "Thank you," Lucy whimpered, her sincerity piercing through the noise around them. Emma felt an immediate connection, one that transcended the chaos surrounding them. She wasn't just comforting Lucy. She was reminding herself that even in the thick of despair, there was a chance for something better. Just then, a voice called out from behind them. "Lucy!" A figure burst through the crowd, a boy, breathless and frantic. His eyes locked onto his sister, relief flooding his face. "Lucy!" he cried again, racing towards them. The connection Emma felt shifted. This was their moment of hope, a moment that could unravel the sorrow wrapping around them. Lucy's face transformed as she turned towards the sound of her brother's voice. "Danny!" she yelled, bolting toward him. The siblings collided in an embrace, tears flowing freely, mingling together, a testament to the love that had survived the chaos. Emma felt an unexpected swell of joy. Witnessing their reunion was uplifting, a reminder of what family meant in moments like these. It was what the community needed: the lifting of burdens, the sharing of sorrow, the joining of forces to combat despair. Gary stood beside Emma, a satisfied smile breaking through his earlier urgency. "We did it," he said softly, as he watched the siblings cling to one another. But even as they celebrated this small victory, anxiety still lurked beneath the surface like an unwelcome specter. "What about everyone else?" Emma murmured, her heart still heavy with the weight of the unknown. "You're right," Gary replied, seriousness washing over his expression once again. "This can't be it. We need to keep searching." A hush fell around them, but the shadows of fear hadn't completely left their hearts. As they turned back toward the park, Emma's mind raced with unsaid questions. What other stories lay underneath the surface? Who else needed saving? The storm was still brewing, and they hadn't seen the worst of it yet. In that very moment, she realized their search had just begun. What would they uncover next as they pressed deeper into the uncertainty of the day? As Emma and Gary moved deeper into the crowd, the atmosphere remained tense, charged with an unspoken urgency. Each face they passed held a story: fear, longing, and an overwhelming need for connection radiated from every direction. They scanned the sea of distress, searching for another lost soul, another possible plea for help. "Look over there." Gary pointed toward the edge of the park, near the old oak tree, where a woman sat on a bench, head in her hands. Her shoulders shook as quiet sobs escaped her. Something about her struck Emma. It felt achingly familiar. It reminded her of her own struggles, her moments of doubt and desperation. "Should we go?" Emma asked, her heart pounding with the weight of empathy. Gary nodded, his expression serious. They approached cautiously, Emma's thoughts racing. What could they say? Would it make a difference? As they neared, Emma noticed the woman's worn shoes and the tattered edges of her coat. She looked up at Gary and Emma's approach, her eyes red and puffy. "Please, just leave me alone," she choked out, her voice trembling. "Hey, we just want to help," Emma replied softly, lowering herself to the bench beside her. "What is your name?" The woman hesitated, looking away as if hoping they'd disappear. "Mary," she finally said, the name barely a whisper. "Mary, I can't imagine what you're going through right now," Emma said gently. "But we want to listen. You don't have to go through this alone." Mary released a shaky breath, glancing between them. It was as if she battled an internal storm fear, running up against the faint glimmer of hope. "I lost my daughter," Mary confessed, her voice thick. "I don't know where she is. I thought I was supposed to meet her here." A torrent of tears spilled down her cheeks as raw emotion bubbled to the surface. At that moment, Emma felt a sharp pang in her heart. She knew those feelings all too well, the panic, the heartbreak, the suffocating idea of loss. "We can help you find her," Emma said, her voice steady despite the quivering in her chest. "Let us look together. You're not alone in this." Mary's eyes searched Emma's, desperately looking for belief. Emma squeezed her hand, the warmth of connection igniting a flicker of courage in Mary's gaze. "You have to trust us, Mary," Gary added, his tone earnest. "Let us rally with you, stand with you. You don't have to be afraid." With a nod, Mary took a deep breath. The glimmer of hope ignited by their kindness seemed to stoke the fires of determination within her. "Okay," she whispered, pulling herself together as they stood. As they began to move, there was a sudden commotion a few feet away. A small group was gathered around something or someone on the ground. Emma's stomach twisted. Instinctively, they rushed toward the crowd, a sense of urgency traveling through the group. "Is it another child?" Gary asked, his voice tense as they reached the outer circle of people. As they pushed through, the scene unfurled before them, revealing a boy who looked scared, lost, and alone. He was about Lucy's age, eyes wide with fear, trembling. "Mom?" he cried, voice laced with desperation. Emma felt her heart clench. He looked just like Lucy had moments ago, drawing energy from the same well of sorrow. They had to do something to find him solace, to extinguish his panic. In that moment, deep inside, Emma knew their presence mattered. They were not just witnesses to suffering. They were agents of connection, hope, and support. They were ready to spark community resilience all over again. As Gary moved to kneel beside the boy, Emma exchanged a look with Mary, two hearts unified by grief, pressing forward into the fray. What would they discover in this unfolding mystery? The answers awaited in the chaos, and not everyone would find hope easily. Emma crouched low, her heart aching as she took in the boy before her. He wore a bright red jacket that looked much too big for him, and tears streamed down his cheeks, mingling with the dirt from the ground. This wasn't just another child lost in a crowded space. This was a boy who had been wrenched from comfort and security, thrust into a world of confusion. "Hey there," Gary said softly, his voice calm and soothing. "What's your name?" "Ethan," the boy whimpered, wiping his nose on the sleeve of his jacket. "I can't find my mom. I was trying to play, and now I'm lost." A fresh wave of sobs racked his small body, and Emma felt the panic twisting inside her like an unyielding knot. "Ethan, listen to me," Emma said, moving closer. She felt raw and vulnerable, but she pressed on. "You are not alone. We're here to help you. Can you tell us what happened?" Through choked breaths, he recounted his story, how he had spotted a butterfly, how the moment had drawn him away from the safety of his mother's side. Emma could see the weight of guilt hanging on his small shoulders, the belief that this was somehow his fault. "It's okay to feel scared," Emma reassured. "We're going to find your mom together. You're so brave for coming to us." In that moment, Mary stepped forward, her own grief momentarily set aside. "Ethan," she said, kneeling beside him, "I understand how it feels to be lost. Can I help you too? I would do anything to find my daughter. Let's work together, okay?" Ethan blinked at her, his innocent eyes widening as he processed her words. For a fleeting instant, hope sparked in the heaviness around them. Two broken souls recognizing a shared struggle, and finding strength in one another. "Can you remember where you last saw your mom?" Gary asked, his voice steady and encouraging, coaxing Ethan from the depths of despair. The boy nodded, slowly recalling the cluster of food stalls where he'd last glimpsed his mother. "Let us go there," Emma urged, standing up with determination. "Together, we'll find her." She extended her hand to the boy, who hesitated before clasping her fingers tightly. The warmth of his grip felt electrifying as it began to pull away the weight of dread in her chest. Mary stood, too, her fire reignited. "And I'll be right here with you," she promised, her hand resting on Ethan's shoulder as if to shield him from the dangers of uncertainty. As they set off towards the area Ethan described, Emma felt the crowd shift around them, a distant murmur of concern echoing in her ears. People were looking, whispering, showing empathy in their eyes. They were all part of something larger than themselves, and in that moment, it ignited a rhythm of hope. Every hurried step spurred them forward, the three of them moving as one unit through the chaos, a small island in an ocean of uncertainty. As they rounded the corner, the familiar sounds of laughter and chatter washed over them, the food stalls bustling with life. But just as the trio reached the entrance of the gathering, a voice cut through the noise, sending chills down Emma's spine. "Ethan!" Emma's heart raced as she spotted a woman frantically waving her arms, eyes wide with anxiety. Could this truly be his mother? The moment hung in the air, like the calm before the storm. Would they finally uncover the relief they had been fighting for? Emma's breath hitched, the current of emotion surging within her as she exchanged an anxious glance with Mary. Would the reunion bring joy, or would it lead to deeper heartbreak? Emma held her breath, waiting for the answer to reveal itself in that chaotic tapestry of life. The woman, breathless and desperate, rushed toward them, her eyes fierce with the urgency of a mother. "Ethan!" she cried, the name escaping her lips in a gasp filled with longing and relief. Emma felt a surge of hope igniting in her chest. This was at the culmination of their efforts, the emotional bridge they had built through shared pain and compassion. "Mom!" Ethan exclaimed, breaking free from Emma's grasp and launching himself into his mother's embrace. The sight of their reunion flooded Emma with a warmth that washed over her, mingling with the bittersweet ache of empathy. The woman squeezed him tightly, the tears flowing freely down her cheeks. "I thought I lost you," she sobbed, holding him as if the world would disappear if she let go. Thank you. She turned her gaze to Emma and Mary, her voice trembling with gratitude. "I couldn't find him anywhere." Emma felt her heart swell. "You don't have to thank us," she replied, brushing back the tears that threatened to spill over. "We're just so glad he is safe." With Ethan returning to his mother, the intensity in the air shifted. People nearby began to clap, their applause ringing out as a celebration of unity. The moment felt transformative, a reminder of the strength found in their fragile connections. But there was a reminder lingering in Emma's mind. What about Mary? What about the struggles that remained unspoken? They stood together, a small circle of resilience amidst the noise of relief. "What now?" Mary whispered, her voice filled with uncertainty, but tinged with a flicker of hope. Emma turned to her, feeling a quiet resolve bubbling within. "I think we keep going," Emma said firmly. "This is just the beginning. We can help each other find our way through this. Others out there need support too." Gary chimed in, his gaze steady. "Let us keep searching. There may be more stories just waiting to be uncovered." Emma nodded and stepped forward, feeling a surge of purpose coursing through her. "If anyone else is out there in need of help, let us reach out together," she called aloud, her voice ringing with clarity from the crowd. Heads turned, eyes sparkled with interest, and murmurs of support flickered through the air. People began to rally, stepping forward not just as bystanders, but as participants in this growing movement towards connection. As Emma caught sight of several familiar faces she'd seen before, she recognized the woman who had shared her story about losing her husband. Would you like to join us? We can band together to support the community." The woman nodded, stepping forward with renewed determination, followed by others who were moved by the sense of belonging that was gathering momentum. Emma felt the electric energy of change hovering in the air, a collective realization that they were stronger together, bonded by their shared experiences. Conversations ignited like fireworks over the diner, voices rising in excitement as they brainstormed ways to build a supportive network. "Let us create a community board," Emma suggested, her heart racing with enthusiasm. "One where we can share jobs, resources, or just meet for a meal. We need to lean on each other through these tough times." The idea caught on quickly, enthusiasm radiating from every corner. "We can call it Cupcakes and Kindness," Lily chimed in, her voice brightly cutting through the excitement. Laughter erupted around them, the tension releasing like steam from a boiling kettle. Emma's eyes sparkled with joy at her daughter's suggestion. "Yes, we can use cupcakes as a way to connect, just like today." Hope blossomed in the faces around her, turning whispers into laughter and doubt into courage. The faces that had once shown skepticism now glimmered with compassion, realizing they all had the power to lift one another up. And just like that, the diner transformed into a beacon of resilience, filled with the warmth of renewed purpose. Emma looked at Gary, their eyes locking in a shared understanding the journey hadn't just changed her. It had reshaped an entire community with love and empathy, as Emma felt. The weight of her worries lift. She knew this was not just an ending, but the beginning of something beautiful, a tapestry woven together with threads of compassion that would weather any storm. This was the moment they'd been waiting for, their lives intertwined in ways that would drive them forward with irrefutable strength. The power of hope had ignited a flame, and as the room buzzed with the thrill of possibilities, Emma smiled wider than she had in days. And now, the call for action reached her heart. This was more than just about her. It was about all of them creating a future filled with possibilities. You need to subscribe now to witness such transformative stories unfold. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the hope. Comment your reactions and feelings about this uplifting conclusion. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this metamorphosis. Your support makes a world of difference.